Welcome back to another episode
of the Uncut Truth.
What's going on, guys? We're back again this week to talk more college and pros and football and college and...
Mostly just football.
Yeah, mainly just football. Actually, all we're talking about today is football. All right, let's kick off with a little bit of NFL. We're going to recap a little bit of last week. We're going to talk about the winners and losers, our biggest concern, team, and impact players of the week that we thought just made an impact on their teams. Then we'll also run down through the Texans, Cowboys, Falcons, Seahawks, and then how many of the 10 undefeated teams we think will make the playoffs. And then if you missed it, you can go back and see our video we uploaded earlier this week for our quick picks where we pick all the games for week number 3. But let's start off with the winners of the week. Who do you have for your winner of the week?
I got the Bucks. Yeah, it's their first game of the season. They've been rained out, so to speak, every game because of the hurricanes and stuff. And I thought it was a big win. Winston Evans connection looking good to start the season. Defense forcing turnovers. I mean, Bucks looking good. Regardless of who they played, they showed up for not having played in 2 weeks.
And my winner of the week, I put the AFC West. The Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders are all 2-0.
Wow.
Impressive. I mean,
yeah, we're dang sure.
For the losers of the week, which we would just say is a disappointing team or teams, in this case, I put the NFC East, West, and the AFC South. Wow. No team in any of those divisions is 2-0, and there's 10 undefeated teams, and none of them come from these 3 divisions. Every team is 1-1 or 0-2. So really, those 3 divisions are completely wide open. No one has taken any kind of advantage in that.
Yeah, for sure. I have the Cowboys. Speaking of the NFC, they looked horrible last week against the Broncos. They got shut down. 0 run game, trying to force it to Dez over and over and over. It's like, and then it's just the defense was exposed by a young quarterback that was like 7th round pick from Northwestern. It's like, come on, man.
Yep.
You just let that guy destroy your defense, Cowboys. You don't look like a playoff team in that game for dang sure.
You know, it's hard to believe with how bad the Giants looked the last 2 weeks that they're 1 game out of first place in that division.
Yep.
Big question marks for that entire division. Biggest concern.
Yeah, for me, I actually had the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, good segue.
What a transition.
Yeah, their O-line was terrible. And I'm not going to call out the one guy.
Oh, Flowers that they've been talking about for...
I mean...
They need to move him to right tackle. I think that's what Gruden said Monday night. They're totally right. Get him to right tackle. See if the right tackle can play left tackle. You got to get him something over there.
Or get him some help, because every play, it was like one-on-one. It's like, if you know this guy's getting beat in the first quarter... Mix in some double teams, man. Added an extra guy to help block. Have the running back chip block somebody. Do something. It was just... And then Odell, he showed up to play the game, but he did nothing. He was weak sauce yet again. I know he wasn't 100%.
And he didn't play as much. Do you know how many plays he played in the first half?
Like maybe 4 plays or 7 plays. He didn't play a whole lot.
I think going into the fourth quarter, he played 13 plays. So, I mean...
But
I think he definitely helped the team out a little bit, being out there.
Yeah, because he did draw some double teams. I'll give him that. But, I mean, even whenever they did hit Marshall on the outside, wide open, Butterfingers.
Yep, he dropped one, and there was one that he stepped out of bounds.
Just, they don't look good, in my opinion, at all. What about you?
I have the Bengals. They were a team that, they had high hopes for making the playoffs this year. They're 0-2 now. The Steelers and the Ravens are both 2-0. And the Bengals this week are playing the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah, and they just fired their offensive coordinator too. So they got a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah. And
the fans screaming for McCarron to come in. Do you think that would be a good choice? Or you stick with him?
I think Andy Dalton is. I don't think it's Andy Dalton's fault. This team is. They're not running the ball. They have 3 running backs, which it pretty much means you have no running backs, I guess, because Mixon hasn't looked good. Bernard, I think he's still there. Is it Jeremy Hill might have been one? They haven't looked good running the ball. Who all did run for him last week? Let's see.
Mixon had 9 carries. Jeremy Hill had 6. Bernard had 5. Look, you named them all. Once again, it's like the Saints syndrome. It's like, just stick with one guy.
But you don't have to stick with one guy, but they had 24 carries for 82 yards. This is a team that's known for grinding out the run, which I know that was against the Texans, but I do think that if they could get back to running the ball, that gives them a small chance to win against Green Bay. Impact Player of the Week. You've got an interesting one here.
Yeah, I went with the kickers across all the NFL, minus the Chargers. Minus the Chargers. Got to miss another game winner. But last week, they made 60 field goals. That's not counting extra points.
I wonder if that's a record.
And they made 60 field goals.
That's crazy.
It's like, they're undervalued. They need to be paid more. Like, seriously, if there's teams...
I need to be paid more.
that are only scoring field goals like the Bengals or the Dolphins. Like, there was games where they made 5 field goals. Like, how are they not being more valued as a player on that team?
Right. And my impact player is going to transition us into talking about the Texans a little bit. Mine's Deshaun Watson. Did you know that he had only 3 wide receivers suit up and 1 tight end for the game on Thursday night?
I saw that during that game that they were helping like a fullback learn how to block and stuff like that, just to help try to get something in them with the tight ends to help alleviate some of the issues there, like to help give that guy a rest.
The tight end had only had 4 practices, and all 4 of them were in training camp. That was playing. He was a starting tight end. They lost 3 tight ends in week 1 against the Jaguars, and they lost all their wide receivers except for 3, which the 3 they had I think are pretty good. Hopkins and the converted wide receiver. What was his name?
Lamar Miller.
No, that's
Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller, and then I can't remember if Tyler Evans is the tight end or not. But either way, first career start, rookie, and you don't even have enough wide receivers to just line up 5 wide if you had to.
Yeah,
very impressive for him, and that 49-yard touchdown run, icing on the cake.
That was nice. That was pretty nice. Speaking of the Texans, we talk about them every week. I thought that it was a big win for them, especially for Deshaun Watson get his first win under his belt. But it was against a bad, struggling Bengals team.
Yeah, and the Texans didn't look great by any stretch. Let's not say that they look like Super Bowl champions now, but they ran the ball. I mean, they got Foreman, the ex-Texas player. And they got I'm a big fan of Miller. Miller's good back, out of the backfield, can do a little bit of everything. They ran the ball for 168 yards last week. That's going to be the recipe for them winning. They run the ball a lot. Take the pressure off of Deshaun Watson, get 3rd and short, and let him run. Let him go crazy.
Yeah, what'd you think about the exclamation point at the end of that game?
Man, that hit that he put on that center. I felt bad for the center.
That was like brought me back to Goldberg from like WWF back in the day, WWE. I know he made a comeback and everything, just that straight textbook, bam, lay him out, and boy did he ever.
Let's go ahead and move on from the Texans to that other Texas team, the Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. What do you got on them?
I said they were ineffective on both sides of the football. They were just bad all around. A lot of give up involved on offense and defense, especially Elliott. And there was one play where it was an interception. You see him just stand there. I mean, granted, what's he going to do?
Right.
He's not going to be able to chase him down and make a play, but just stand there and watch. At least jog like you're going to.
You got to run after that play. Even though you're not going to make the tackle, you got to run back on that. Dak Prescott sure did. I mean, he tried to, and that's the guy you probably don't want running back as your quarterback, but Elliott, come on, give an effort.
Yeah, it was just not a good game at all.
I put on this here that Garrett panicked. I mean,
I could see that.
Beyond whether Elliott had a good game or a bad game or not, he only carried the ball 9 times. This game was not a blowout. I think the Broncos scored right at the end of the first half in the last 2 minutes to make this 21-7 halftime lead. But I think he only had 4 carries in the first half for 5 yards. Because I think his first carry in the second half was for -5, and he had 5 carries for 0, if I remember right. Why are they not running the ball? I mean, they didn't even give him a chance. 9 carries doesn't give you a chance to be a dominant run team. They ran it 9 times, and they passed it 50 times in this game. Every game that Dak passes it more than 40 times, I'm telling you this year they're going to lose every one of those games. They have to run the ball, and there was no reason not to even to try. Rod Smith, at least run the ball with somebody. You had 11 carries by running backs.
Yeah, that's...
And you put on here too, they forced it to Dez, or you mentioned that earlier?
Yeah, for sure. They love, for some reason, they're all about trying to throw him the football.
They weren't last year, though. They threw it to him 16 times. One of them was dropped and ended up being an interception.
Yeah. I mean, you got Cole Beasley that only had 4 catches, granted 8 targets, but only 4 catches. Witten, 10 out of 13. Like, why are you trying to force it to a guy that I personally feel is super overrated? I mean, he's your go-to receiver. He's the guy that gets the defense, but don't try to force it to him every daggone play.
I don't know. It's a head scratcher.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Falcons, as we move on, what'd you think about them? You were not on the Falcons. You said
I was not. I was going Roger show, just going to double check all day. Falcons looked freaking good. They look super good. No joke, man. It was. I don't know if it's a case of no offensive line because the Packers do have 2 guys on offensive line out. So they got younger guys playing. It's not usually there, but he had no time to throw the football. He had no time to scramble. He had no time for anything all game long.
That's a very underrated defense. That defense was young last year. They're still young. That defense is good for the Falcons. They're going to be underestimated. They're going to put pressure on the quarterback, and they're going to do it every week, and they're going to run the ball. The Falcons look dominant. They had a balanced attack. I think they ran it 27 times, and they passed it 28. Does it get much closer than that? Balanced attack, like I said, and just a dominant win for them.
Yep. I think it's going to come down to Green Bay needs to get a running back in there. I mean, Montgomery's not bad. He's doing what he needs to do to get the job done, but he's a converted wide receiver.
Well, you know,
get somebody in there that you can hand the ball off to somebody. I mean, I know they drafted three running backs,
and they didn't play.
What's the point in drafting them if they're not going to ever play?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense to me. So you need help for Aaron Rodgers. It can't be his show all game, every game. And it has been for the last couple of years.
But I do think they need to be able to run the ball a little better than they have.
Yeah, Falcons looks like a good shot to repeat and maybe even get that championship this year. They look good. So
how about the Seahawks? We'll discuss them.
Wow, dude. What is up with that offense? Like what's going on there? I'm
What's up with the defense too?
I'm impressed with the defense. Defense is still stout as ever to me. Defense
they
looking
gave up 159 rushing yards to the 49ers last week.
They only gave up 99 passing yards.
Okay, that's fine. That's Brian Hoyer passing.
So
the week before that, when they played a quarterback that's going to be in the playoffs, he lit them up like a Thanksgiving turkey. That doesn't make sense.
Thanksgiving turkey. I mean, you
like a Christmas tree.
159 rushing yards. Carlos Hyde had 15 for 124 with a long of 61. So he had 14 carries for 60 yards.
That's still 5 yards a pop. Okay, it's 4.75.
Yeah. That's not great to me.
I bet if he averaged 4.75, I bet he would be top 5 in the league in rushing yards per carry this year.
Like I'm more impressed with the fact that the defense can do what they need to do to get the win. The offense has been non-freaking existent all year long. I mean, it's only week 2, but you got to figure something out.
Yeah, they scored a touchdown this week, and then they missed the extra point, I think.
It's like, yeah,
did they go for 2 or did they miss the extra point?
They missed the extra point.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Blair Walsh pulled the old Walsh.
And without that Hoyer interception, the 49ers probably win this game. And the Seahawks are 0-2, and they've lost the Packers and the 49ers. Because, let's face it, the Seahawks are not as good as they have been in the past. I think there's big question marks all over this team, offense and defense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the offensive side.
Last thing we'll discuss here, there was 10 undefeated teams. The Broncos, Lions, Falcons, Steelers, Panthers, Chiefs, Raiders, and Ravens are all 2-0, and the Dolphins and Bucks are both 1-0. How many of these teams are making the playoffs?
For me, I said 5. I might could go 6, maybe push 7.
I did 7.
I'm saying 5. 5 for sure.
Okay, so who you got? Broncos?
Broncos, hands down.
I put the Broncos in.
Falcons.
I put the Lions in.
No.
You're not impressed with them?
No.
Well, so you're more impressed with how the Packers have looked so far than how the Lions have looked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lions, like, they've snuck by against bad teams back-to-back weeks. They haven't impressed me at all.
They didn't sneak by against the Cardinals. They were down early, then I think they won by double digits both weeks.
They had to come back to get a win. Like,
okay, so
they just haven't impressed me much.
So did the Packers. Had to come back to win.
They're a little schnoz. They don't impress me much. Not going to happen.
Okay.
I had the Falcons.
I got the Falcons.
Okay. Steelers.
I do the Steelers.
Okay. No Dolphins.
No Dolphins.
No Panthers.
No Panthers.
Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs.
Chiefs looking pretty good. Raiders, of course.
I put the Raiders.
And then my other two that would be maybe the Bucks would be my sixth if I was going to say them, but they're not on my list.
I put the Bucks as well, and I put no Ravens.
And then Ravens would be my seventh.
Ravens are not making the playoffs.
Really?
They're not winning more than 6 games this year.
Wow.
Okay, maybe 7.
That's a bold statement.
The Ravens, I don't think the Ravens are good. They beat the Bengals and the Browns.
Right.
Yeah. Enough said. Thanks again for checking out another one of our weekly football videos. It's football right now. We'll get into some basketball and stuff later. But right now we're focusing on football. So thanks for checking it out. Leave comments below. If you leave them, we will. That was me typing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we will definitely mention you in the next video.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. Hands down. We'll feature you. We'll get your name out there. You'll be famous.
Yeah, famous.
Famous.
As famous as 2 guys in a room with white walls can be.
Right.
So thanks again for watching, and this is
The Uncut Truth.
Bam.